it's me, Dan, and I got a kind of a special thing for you. Might drive you nuts, but it's all good. Several people keep asking me, what got me into raw foods? And so I'm going to attempt to share that with you. And we'll also make my favorite. There's already a couple up there: cucumber, celery, spinach, and coconut juice. So we won't really make that the emphasis, but let me get narcissistic on you and tell you about Dan. This is really hard to do, so anyways, just bear with me. But to be honest with you, I've spent my life as a bodybuilder, and that's the good side of it. And yes, I did all the enhancements that you can do with that. I was probably about 50 pounds heavier than I am now. So I was insane. And not only that was I an insane bodybuilder, but I was also basically a full-blown, what the world would call a drug addict, which happened to be just family tradition, baby. You know, my mom's side is the alcohol and the drugs, well, and then not necessarily on my dad's side until my dad, you know, found drugs later on in his life. My grandma never really did the illegal stuff, but then my dad was more, found the weed and started doing all that later on after his first wife left him, and he found her in bed with his best friend, and then he started, like, walked around, drank pop for like 5 years, and then was in a mental hospital, and then smoked weed and was like, oh my god, the weed kind of helped him, you know. But then there was a lot of marijuana around and other things going on, so that combined with my dad's side of the family smoking weed around us when we were little babies and drinking a lot of wine, and then my mom's side of the family, which is, you know, either has alcoholism or religion, and I'm not sure which one is worse at this time. I hope they never see this video. But anyways, the story of the Dan is kind of you know, basic, you know, a little bit of abuse. I mean, I don't try to get too melodramatic. I mean, I'm not gonna say that, hey, everybody goes through their crap, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty obvious. But there was physical abuse, and then there was a lot of there was abandonment. And then mom would go, and then she would come back, and then she'd go for 6 months and come back for 6 months and go for 3 months. And so you know, trauma. Who doesn't have it, right? Welcome to Earth. I mean, that's what we came here for, right? To work out our karma. So I'm not really complaining, and you're never going to hear me sob storying. But all that leads up into the raw foods. So I'm a messed up, angry, unsatisfied, psychotic, drug addicted, which means all week long, you know, I mean, just with the uppers and the enhancement drugs and the marijuana and the alcohol and the meat. I mean, I was a mess. I mean, how can you be a drug addicted athlete bodybuilder? Well, they're out there, trust me. I knew a lot of them. It's the intensity and the extremes, kind of, which again, raw foodism could be that if I let it, but I'm not. And one day I was in a bookstore, and this guy said to me, he said, do you really want to know the real truth? And I said, well, of course. So that's what truth led me to raw foods. My search for the truth. My search for healing. I mean, when I was 20 years old, I said, these drugs and shit are killing me. They're a dead end. You're an idiot. Well, that didn't stop me from doing them for another 11 or 12 years. So I'm barely out of the scoop. So you can do the math. I've known and been doing raw foods for 8 years. So that means I've been about a 95% raw foodist, all the while still working out the problems with the drugs, working out the problems with well, the steroids and stuff like that, and the enhancement drugs. Those were easy to quit. But anyways, let me tell you, I'll try to make this easy for you to get. I found a book. The guy said, do you want to know the real truth? And I said, yes, of course. And he's like pointing me to this book called The Essene Gospel of Peace. Now, up until that time, I had studied nothing but nutrition, even as a wastoid, and as a bodybuilder. I was, you know, searching for truth, for healing, and I thought nutrition was a very you know, I mean, that's a good modality, right? I mean, it's part of a pathway that leads you to the highest levels where you even transcend the whole food trip. A lot of people get stuck on the food trip, and believe me, you can't eat your way to God. At least that's my opinion. But anyways, you know, the point is that I found this book. It's a $1 little pamphlet called The Essene Gospel of Peace. Anyways, I read that book in one night, and my life has never been the same. I did a 180. The easiest thing in the world to give up was the meat. I quit eating meat that night and have only eaten meat twice. One time I remember was about maybe a year into raw foods. I was stressed to the max. I was just, life was just killing me, and I went to this Mexican restaurant and ate chicken fajitas. Another time was maybe 6 months later, something like that, into raw foods, and I was just wasted drunk because I still was working out all that crap with the weed and the alcohol, which were the ones that were the last to go. The cocaine and the methamphetamines and the ecstasy and stuff like that. Pretty easy to get off those because it was pretty easy to see. The weed was the hardest, and the alcohol was the second hardest. Meat, I quit eating meat the night that I read that book. I said, oh my God, no wonder I feel like shit all the time. You know, it was like getting hit upside the head with the truth. So that night I did a 180 in my life, and I got a timer going, so I gotta click this thing. But anyways, I did a 180, and I was like, well, okay, what's this raw food about? I gotta find out. You know, what is this raw food about? And I just started studying about raw foods. I had already done nothing but study nutrition. I mean, I didn't read about anything else. I was a nutrition fanatic. That was my way out. So what it was I was using nutrition as a way to heal myself because I was smart. You know, I'm not stupid. You can be a wastoid. In fact, people use drugs to remove the clouds that to themselves. They want to be with themselves, their true self, that love that's inside of you. So you use drugs to remove the clouds of all the conditioning of this society, which is all these rules and all this shit. And by the time you're a little kid, you're like 8 years old, you've basically given up on life because all these rules and all the parents and all the preachers and all the teachers and crap are just mostly negativity. And I'm not going out like that. I believe in love. I believe in life and happiness, and I can see it all around. Do I have problems and things I'm still working on? Of course. I probably always will. I mean, we probably all always will, you know? It's called karma, and we just got to keep working it out. It's like the thing that's, you know, we won't go into that. But, you know, stopped eating meat and started studying the raw foods. And at first, I did what the book said. Fruits, vegetables. I bought a couple of goats, started drinking goat's milk for my protein, and salads. So I'd have fruits and salads, and I was just great. And then it happened. I started going to raw food retreats. Oops. Then the chocolate. My first night I ate 70 beans and hallucinated, stayed up all night. And then I got strung out on chocolate. And then you get strung out on all the fancy raw food recipes. And I'm still, to this very day, hey, the drugs are gone. The alcohol is gone. The pornography is gone. You know, so right now, it's like, hey, I'm pretty happy that I'm just working on some food issues. But I want to even get over those. You know, I want to, it's not like food is bad or there's anything wrong with anything. I'm not even against drugs. I'm just saying that there's a better choice. You know how I quit smoking weed? It was one day a knowingness came into my brain that said, Dan, you love weed, but you hate what it does to your life. There are better options. Never smoked since. I could never admit I was anti-weed. And as long as you push against something, it's going to make it stronger and stronger and stronger. As soon as I let it go, whoosh, just disappeared. So the whole resistance and the force and the yang doesn't work. I'm up to 10 minutes. I hope this shared a little bit about where I'm coming from. Raw foods is a healing modality to me. I'm going to use it to heal my mind, my body, and my heart. It's not just about food, but it's supplemental. Thank you for joining me. I love you guys. You rock. Live your dreams. Peace.